She doesn't want to nurture you. She wants to test you, not out of malice but instinct. To see if there's anything inside you strong enough to survive her. You mistake it for cruelty. But she's not here to comfort your weakness. She's here to crucify it. This is the archetype Jung, buried in the darker folds of the feminine psyche. Not the mother, not the maiden, but the devourer, the woman who obliterates everything soft, everything unsure, everything that leans instead of stands. And still, you chase her. You think it's love, that if you're gentle enough, kind enough, needed enough, she'll finally see you. But she doesn't want to see you. She wants to feel you. She wants to collide with the masculine force you promised to be and destroy whatever was pretending. You didn't fail because you weren't sensitive. You failed because you weren't sovereign. She doesn't trust a man who bends. She doesn't follow a man who needs saving. She doesn't open to a man who secretly hates himself. And you think this makes her monstrous? No, it makes her divine. She is not the problem. She is the mirror. Jung called her the anima when distorted the inner feminine image that haunts and seduces the weak man. But there's another version, the archetype of the dark feminine Kali, Lilith, the sorceress, the serpent. She doesn't seduce, she shatters. And what's left after her storm is either a man or nothing. You keep finding her. Over and over. Every lover a test you secretly arranged. And you keep failing not because she's too much, but because you are too little. This is the part no one tells you. The woman you call cruel is the one your soul summoned. You were drawn to her from the beginning, not because she was warm, but because she was dangerous. Something in her eyes told you she wouldn't make it easy. And that's what you craved, wasn't it? A battle disguised as romance. A storm wrapped in a kiss. You didn't want peace. You wanted proof. Proof that you mattered, that you could win her, tame her, hold her. But deep down, you already knew. You were never going to survive her. Because the truth is, you never felt like a man. Not fully, not deeply, not in your bones. You were praised for being nice. You learned how to please, how to soften, how to be safe. They told you this would make you lovable, but it made you hollow. Your strength was hidden, or worse, abandoned. And now you wander through relationships looking for the one who can finally crown you king. But every queen you find looks at you with disappointment, and you don't understand why. So you try harder. You overgive. You adapt. You shrink your needs and amplify hers. You play the therapist, the rescuer, the romantic. You perform the role of the good man because that's what you were taught would earn you love. But she doesn't want a good man. She wants a real one. And you're not him. Not yet. You confuse love with survival. You mistake submission for devotion. And she can smell it. That quiet hunger. That silent plea. Please choose me so I don't have to choose myself. You don't love her. You need her. There's a difference. Love flows from wholeness. Need leaks from a wound. And she feels it every time you speak gently, but with trembling hands. Every time you say, I support you, but mean, don't leave me. Every time you praise her strength, while silently hoping she'll mother your fear. This is not intimacy. This is dependence. This is what Jung called anima possession, when a man loses himself in the image of the feminine and becomes a shadow of his own masculinity. You're not leading. You're orbiting. You're not standing beside her. You're kneeling at her altar, begging for a feeling of worth. And she grows colder, sharper. She tests you with silence, with distance, with demands. Not because she's cruel, because she has to. The feminine in her is screaming, wake up, show me your spine, burn me with your presence, don't disappear when I challenge you. But all you hear is rejection, all you feel is abandonment. And so you collapse into the very boy. She can't respect the one who needs her more than he needs himself. You think this is just heartbreak. It's not. It's identity collapse. You've spent your whole life believing you would be loved for being safe. But safety never made a man. Safety never made her melt. Safety never pulled her hair back and looked her in the eyes with fire. You've been taught to fear your own power, so now you fear hers. And when she finally walks away, cold, distant, unmoved, you call her names. Manipulative, toxic, narcissistic. You turn her into the villain so you don't have to look at your own emptiness. But the truth is simpler. And crueler, she didn't destroy you. She revealed you. You weren't rejected because you were too soft. You were rejected because you had no edge. You weren't abandoned because you were too emotional. You were abandoned because your emotions were rooted in fear, not truth. And the woman you thought would finally complete you, she was never there to save you. She was there to slay you. This is the wound. The unbearable realization that the love you longed for, the wild, deep, sacred union, will never come from being needed. It will only come when you no longer need. And until then, every powerful woman you meet will crush you. You weren't born weak. You were made that way, molded, conditioned, cut into the shape that would earn safety, approval, love. As a boy, you learned quickly. Strength was dangerous. Anger was punished. Desire was shamed. And so you amputated parts of yourself. You locked your fire in a cage and smiled through the bars. They praised you for being calm, obedient, polite. But deep inside, a storm began to rot. This is where Jung begins his descent into the unconscious, into the split between the man you became and the man you were meant to be. He called it the persona, the mask you wear to survive society. But behind that mask, something darker lurks, the shadow, the parts you buried, the instincts you feared, the rage you denied, the lust you repressed, the power you pretended not to crave. And it's in this split that the feminine becomes distorted. Jung warned of the anima, the inner woman every man carries. When integrated, she is the source of intuition, creativity, feeling. But when rejected, she mutates into fantasy. Projection, obsession. You don't see women as they are. You see them as the parts of yourself you've lost. You don't fall in love. You fall into hypnosis. She becomes your mirror, not of who you are, but of what you're missing. And so you chase her not out of love, but out of desperation. If she wants me, I'm real. If she loves me, I exist. But she never can, because she is not yours. She is you. The piece of your soul you've exiled, now dressed in perfume and skin and mystery. This is why your relationships feel like hauntings. You're not dating a person, you're reenacting a trauma, a myth, a psychic loop. You were taught to fear your masculinity, so now you fall for women who overpower you. You were never given a father who embodied true strength, so now you look to the feminine to rescue you from your weakness. But the feminine cannot do this. She is not here to complete you, she is here to confront you, and until you become the man you were meant to be, she will remain a punisher. This is not misogyny, this is archetype, ancient and merciless. Jung saw it in dreams, in myths, in breakdowns. The devouring feminine, Kali, Medusa, the siren. She appears when the man has failed to individuate, when he has abandoned the journey into himself. She comes not to love, but to destroy the false self, to burn the boy king from his throne and call forth the buried warrior. But you still don't see it. You think she left you because you weren't good enough. Number she left, because your soul demanded it. The wound you carry is not from her. It is from the gap between the man you are and the man you pretend to be. Jung wrote, "Man's task is to become conscious of the contents that press upward from the unconscious. But you've spent your life running, numbing, performing. You avoid silence, because that's where the truth waits, the voice that whispers, you've never chosen yourself. And so, society applauds you. You're sensitive. You're supportive. You're not like those toxic men. But here's the cruel joke. Your lack of toxicity doesn't make you whole. It makes you invisible. You've neutered yourself in the name of goodness. And now you wonder why the women you want don't want you. They want presence, not performance, power, not politeness. They want a man who knows who he is, not one who asks them to decide. But modern culture doesn't teach this. It teaches appeasement, codependence. It rewards victimhood and punishes sovereignty. Men are shamed for being too strong until they're too weak. You're told to be emotionally available, but not emotionally needy. You're told to listen, but not lead. You're told to serve, but not to stand. And so you're split in half. And the woman you call destroyer is simply the one who refuses to believe in the lie. She's not punishing you. She's revealing you. She is the mirror of your unclaimed power. The feminine in her deepest essence, will not submit to a man who cannot hold her storm. She will test, not out of cruelty, but to see what breaks. She will push, not to dominate, but to uncover the steel beneath your softness. And if she finds nothing but apology and avoidance, she leaves. Or worse, she stays and grows resentful. This is the paradox you must hold. The woman you want will never fall for the man you've become unless he dies. You must kill the boy who performs. You must bury the nice guy who bends. You must reclaim the anger you buried as a child. Not to harm, but to guard. Not to dominate, but to protect. Not to seduce, but to stand. Only then can the anima return to you, not as a ghost you chase, but as a guide within. The real woman will only meet you when you've made peace with your own feminine. Until then, you'll keep meeting her as myth, as punishment, as exile. You were never rejected. You were summoned into fire, into death, into form. And it begins when you stop asking her to love the parts of you you're still ashamed of. So here you are, stripped, splintered, staring at the ruins of your self-image. She didn't break you. She just refused to carry your weakness. And now, with nothing left to blame, the question turns inward. Would you rather stay wounded, if it means staying loved? Because that's what you've been doing, isn't it? Clinging to your pain like it's proof that you're worthy of comfort, worshiping your own emptiness, seducing women with your sadness and calling it vulnerability when in truth it was manipulation. A softer kind, yes, but manipulation nonetheless. Look how much I hurt. Don't leave me. I need you. That wasn't openness. That was blackmail wrapped in sensitivity. Emotional extortion masked as romance. But what if she saw through it? What if every time she pulled away, it wasn't because she didn't feel safe, but because she did, and that terrified her? What if the safety you offered felt like surrender not hers, but yours? You didn't fall in love. You fell into addiction. The dopamine hit of attention, the validation rush of a gaze, her body, her mind, her chaos, all of it became your fix. You weren't with her to meet her. You were with her to escape you, to forget that you haven't found your purpose, that you haven't earned your own respect, that you wouldn't follow you so you tried to get her to. And now, alone again, you're left with the real question. When will you stop needing to be chosen? Because every time you say, she abandoned me, what you're really saying is, I abandoned myself. She just echoed it, amplified it, forced you to face it. You keep calling it heartbreak. But heartbreak is honest. What you're feeling is withdrawal from a fantasy that was never meant to sustain you. You used her to fill your void, and when she couldn't, when she wouldn't, you called it betrayal. But what if the betrayal was yours? What if you betrayed your own masculinity every time you softened your truth to win her affection? Every time you hid your standards, your fire, your direction just to keep her from leaving? Every time you bit your tongue when your soul was screaming, don't say that, she might pull away. Don't show that, she might think you're too much. You didn't lose her. You lost yourself. You traded your spine for a smile, your edge for her comfort. And now you wonder why she never respected you, why she started testing you, why she pushed and pushed and pushed until finally you snapped or vanished. That wasn't cruelty. That was a challenge. The feminine in its pure form will always challenge the masculine to rise. If you have no weight, she will not lean. If you have no presence, she will not trust. If you are unclear, she will fill the space with chaos. And if you collapse when she tests you, she doesn't feel guilty. She feels repulsed because she doesn't want your pedestal. She wants your power. Not over her, but over yourself. She wants to know that you are there, not placating, not performing, but present. A man who does not bend just to be loved. A man who can hold her without needing her to be small. But here's the darkest truth. You liked her power until she used it on you. You were mesmerized by her confidence, her wildness, her voice, until she turned it on you. And then suddenly, she was too much. Suddenly, she was emasculating. Suddenly, you were a victim again. But she didn't take your power. You gave it to her, quietly, repeatedly, every time you refused to lead, every time you waited for her to decide, every time you hid behind emotional language instead of standing in truth. You thought vulnerability meant oversharing. But real vulnerability is risk, leadership, truth without apology. And now the mirror cracks. The woman who once set your soul on fire now makes you feel small, pathetic, rageful. You fantasize about punishing her, proving yourself, making her regret. But this isn't about her. It never was. This is your reckoning. This is the part where you stop blaming women for the weight you refuse to carry. This is where you either become a man who stands on his own ground or keep reliving the same trauma in prettier bodies. This is where you ask the only question that matters. Who am I without her? If the answer is silence, you are not ready for love. Because love, real love, does not complete you. It tests you. And until you meet the dark feminine without flinching, without folding, without begging, you will continue to fall. Again, and again, and again. She is not your punishment. She is your prophecy. You were never supposed to survive her. You were supposed to transform. She was never yours to keep. She was the fire meant to burn your illusions to ash. And now, alone, stripped, humiliated, something ancient stirs beneath your grief. Not the boy screaming to be held, but the man, rising from his funeral. It begins when you stop chasing, when the hunger inside you is no longer aimed outward, no longer clawing for her validation, her warmth, her body. You do not need her to recognize you. You need to recognize yourself. The game ends when you withdraw your energy from proving, pleasing, pacifying. When you finally stop asking, "Am I enough for her?" and instead thunder back, "Is she enough for me?" But that's not anger. That's not revenge. That's reclamation. You are not here to dominate her. You are not here to silence her. You are here to stand, fully, fiercely, without apology. This is not the return of the alpha male. This is the return of the sovereign, the man who leads not through force but through depth, not through command but through clarity, not through fear but through rooted presence. The dark feminine cannot destroy this man, because she no longer has to. He does not flinch when she tests him. He does not chase her chaos or hide from her rage. He welcomes her fire and meets it with his own. And suddenly, the game shifts. She melts. Not into submission, but into surrender. Not beneath him, but to him. Because now, she is safe. Not because he coddles her, but because he no longer betrays himself to keep her close. This is the masculine that was exiled from you as a boy. The part that knew how to protect without punishing, how to speak without shrinking, how to be alone without being lost. Jung knew this return well. He called it individuation, the process of becoming whole. It is not given, it is earned. Through fire, through loss, through soul-fracturing confrontation with your own shadows. And now you see her clearly, the destroyer, the seductress, the sacred challenger. She was never here to make you feel good. She was here to initiate you. And she will keep coming in new bodies, new names, new archetypes, until you no longer collapse beneath her gaze. Until you can look her in the eye and say, "Thank you, but I no longer need you to hurt me in order to grow." This is the turning point, the threshold. You stop performing. You stop apologizing. You stop outsourcing your manhood to the emotional weather of the women you desire. You learn to hold your own center, even in her storms. And when she screams, tests, pulls away, you don't chase. You stay, or you walk. But either way, you choose. You are no longer at the mercy of the feminine, because you have integrated your own. This is the masculine the world pretends it doesn't need until it burns for him. The man who can meet a goddess without needing her to mother his shame. The man who can love without losing himself. The man who knows, "I am enough, even when I am alone." And now, something shifts. She feels it. That woman who once twisted you with a glance, who once pierced your spine with her silence, who once made you beg without saying a word. She sees you. Not the nice guy, not the soft addict, not the obedient poet starving for a sip of her attention, but a man. And suddenly, she can't control you. Because now you choose her only if she's worthy, only if her depth matches yours, only if her wildness can be met without fear, only if she respects the ground you've carved out of your own death. You're not bitter. You're not cold. You're clear. Your softness is no longer submission. It's grace. Your emotions are no longer manipulative. They are real. You feel everything, but you are ruled by nothing. This is your rebirth. This is your return. And she, the one who once undid you, will not recognize you. Not because you've changed, but because you've remembered. Remembered what it feels like to stand without flinching, to lead without forcing, to love without losing, to be alone without being abandoned. You are no longer the boy asking to be seen. You are the man who sees. You thought she was your punishment, but she was your mirror. She came into your life to reveal everything you forgot, the power you surrendered, the spine you hid, the voice you silenced. She was not the end of love. She was the end of illusion. And now, silence. A different kind of silence than before, not the ache of abandonment, not the collapse of shame, but the stillness after fire. The kind that comes when there is nothing left to prove, nothing left to chase. Just breath, just ground, just you. You are not broken. You are becoming. This was never about her. It was about the parts of yourself you kept burying just to be chosen. And when you finally stopped, when you let it all die, you were reborn in something ancient, something unshakable, something she could feel before you ever opened your mouth. She doesn't want a savior. She doesn't want a servant. She wants a storm she can trust. And now, you are that storm. You no longer chase the woman who tests you. Because she is no longer a threat, she is an invitation. You no longer fear her edge, you match it. You no longer collapse in her mystery. You meet her with your truth. The mirror is cracked, the spell is broken, and in its place, not bitterness, but clarity. You may love again, but it will be different. No more pleading, no more contortion, no more aching to be enough. The next time you give your heart, it won't be to be filled. It will be because you are already full. And when she looks into your eyes, she won't see the boy reaching out for rescue. She'll see the man who walked through fire and built his throne from ash. Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life, and you will call it fate." Now, finally, you've seen it, and you will never bow again. .com. The storm is over. The soul is sovereign. Comment below. Did she destroy you, or did she deliver you?